Hey you guys, I'm Corey. It's Monday, so I have a little bit of movement medicine for you. I want to show you a version of cat-cow, similar to traditional cat-cow, but it's also a little bit different. And it's the differences and the nuances here that are worth paying attention to. I recently pretty much healed from a deep hip strain, and all the muscles around my hip joint, deep hip rotators, were inflamed, and that traveled all the way up into the back of my pelvis, my lower back. This was one of the movements that I did pretty much every morning getting out of bed to bring mobility, to bring just comfort and space and blood flow, healing energy to this part of my body. This version of cat-cow is fantastic if that's something you're dealing with. Also, if you just spend a lot of time sitting, like working on your computer, which I do a lot, so I've still been incorporating this movement into my life. And if you drive for a living, people, Uber drivers, truck drivers, this is a wonderful thing to do if you can. On your breaks, find a place to get on all fours, do this movement. It will bring a whole lot of relief and just healthy healing energy to this part of the body. You'll start on all fours. The shoulders will be over your wrist. Make sure your knees are in a little bit closer, like under the front of the hips rather than back here, because that will start you in a pitched forward pelvis and you want to start neutral. Lengthen your neck and then start by tightening your low belly. Tuck your toes under. Round your back. So starting in cat back, the pelvis is tipping backwards. You're releasing your head and think of filling up that space in the low back, like with your breath. Lift up into that. Moving into cow pose. Tip the pelvis forward as you move your chest forward. And now tighten the low belly. Keep it taut. Do that a couple times, just more like traditional cat-cow, initiating this movement from your pelvis. So tipping it forward and back, anterior, posterior tilt of the pelvis. Keeping your low belly really, really tight. Feel that space across kidney band in the low back. And then here's where it gets just this little bit nuanced. The next time you come into cow, stay there, and from the top of your thigh bones, drive them back like you're going to go into child's pose, but stop about halfway. Tighten the low belly, and then come forward, cat. Round the back, tip the pelvis back. And then tip it forward and do that again. Drive through the top of the thigh bones. So this is initiating movement from the pelvis and taking the femur bones back deeper into the hip socket. Keep going with that. A lot of times if we're sitting for long periods of time or if there's an inflammation, the head of the femur can get pushed forward. We want to take it back into the acetabulum, the socket of the pelvis that the head of the femur bone lives in. And while you're doing that, you're also kind of teasing apart that tension in that whole area. And as we do that, then blood flow and energy can more freely flow. And of course, that is medicine in and of itself. Couple that with your awareness that you're infusing into this part of your body, and that's a recipe for healing. So you're driving the hips back, not all the way to the heels, top of the femur bones moving back, the belly stays taut. Relax your face and just do this for a few more rounds. And then maybe the next time that you end up in cat, you can just kind of hang out here, wiggle into your ribs. Fill up your back body with your breath. This whole back line of tissue is connected. It relates all the way down the hip, the back of the pelvis, and just freeing up space right there. And sit back onto your heels. And of course, just take a moment to let that settle so you can actually tune in and feel it. And then as you move forward, just notice the difference and how it feels, and let that inspire you to continue doing this healthy work for yourself. Leave a comment. Let me know what your experience was like. I always appreciate that. And thank you for taking care of yourself. Namaste.